this is what basics of river water dispute. GS में difficult era नहीं होता है. GS is, let's say, they have the paper like since 2013 the standard of paper they have changed. The only thing is that not realized much by students. This so it's because market, as we told that market is still more inclined towards before 2012 era, more prelims oriented preparation. So, and that's also, let's say, you want to finish the things in certain time duration. Anyhow, forget about this. So, paper second has its own standard, if you see, and questions, yes, except for a few questions, they do have certain standards of questions, which demand, let's say, technical knowledge. You can see how it demands the technical knowledge. So, what we are trying to say, that technicality side. So, Article 262 has two such provisions. One, that if there is any such river water dispute, and let's say any state has appealed to the center, hence the center can constitute a river water tribunal, and that tribunal can look into that dispute. Yes. To do it, center has brought Interstate River Water Tribunal Act, you can say that, 1956. So, to constitute a tribunal. Center has also constituted, means it has also brought one law called River Board Act, 1956. It is, River Board means it will try to constitute boards, means let's say that riparian states, water basin areas, so whatever the area you have, some of the states consisting, it can constitute a board, and that board will try to hold negotiation, dialogue. Means before going to tribunal, the law main aim was to solve the matter through negotiations. Hence, River Board Act was brought along with Tribunal Act. This, then it says, this clause 2 says that the Parliament can bar judiciary. That is how Article 262 bars the jurisdiction of Supreme Court on river water dispute related. This Supreme Court should not intervene, rather it should be solved through river water tribunal. That is how the provision that we have. Then if you take Schedule 7, in Schedule 7 as far as control, regulation, development of water is concerned, so that goes to the center. And if you say about, let's say, water per se, water usage, let's say, it can be drinking water, it can be irrigation water, it can be for other purposes. When you have water, let's say, at a state level, surface water, running water, you can say, the running water in the state, surface water in the state. So these are all, let's say, that under the state list, and the state has the control on that water. This. So then how the, let's say, that challenge comes, is how the problem comes. This problem are gray areas, that what are the problems, let's say. This is how it comes. Or before that, how many, let's say, that tribunals we have constituted so far, then we should talk about causes, what are the causes of this, and technical issues. So, yes. Because I don't want to dictate. These things are, either you get the slide right. So to minimize it, because there are so many facts related. First dispute came in related to Godavari, 1969. And let's say finally it was addressed, report and decision given by 1980. You can see the gap, almost it took almost 11 years. And yes, it is considered as a matter, means the differences are disputes solved. Similarly, Krishna water, same thing happened, it takes less time and it is solved also. Then Narmada water also, and this will find this constituted, implemented the decision. It also, let's say, took almost 10 years, matter solved. So the first three river water dispute tribunals which were constituted, they were able to also solve the problems. That is the success we have related to river water tributaries. Thereafter, we have not been able to address. Like if you see this the matter still goes on. Further report is pending. Ravi and Vyas, you will find this. 1986, there is accord also, you know that, Rajiv Lokhandwal accord, let's say that. Rajiv Gandhi era, one accord happens, but still you know that Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, they time to time the matter keeps cropping. Then Kaveri water, you can see that how Kaveri water, it is hotly, let's say, contested by the two states. And still you know that this constituted in 1990, then 2007 it submitted the report, and then you know that the Supreme Court modified the decision in 2018. It means it is a very longest dispute you can find, and still not satisfactory, let's say, solution. Then again, let's say it has been renewed, let's say, means the agreement period ended, so again it was constituted, and almost, let's say, it has been addressed. But then if you say that this Vansdhara, let's say, river, so it has gone, report is pending. And then another, let's say, Mahadai, let's say that river, the report is pending, and finally, let's say, this Mahanadi water dispute report is pending. So these are some recent developments where the, let's say, decisions, etc., whatever we find, taken. Then geographically, if you see the dispute area, there are 20 such area where there are 25 such, let's say that we have riparian areas or water basin areas where we have the disputes, and largely you can find on the coastal side, you can find almost, and most of them are in southern states. Right, most of them are located in southern states, not in this. There is only one, let's say that major aspect you can find. So, and southern states, let's say that they do not have perennial rivers. This, if geographically a bit of that, still I remember. Right. So, if you go on the geographical aspects, right, and Gangetic Plain and the southern plateau, so geographically also they have water scarcity. Right. It also shows that if they have water scarcity, so there should be, that we should have solution for that rather than having such kind of disputes. So, causes, let's say that, what are the causes, we'll talk. Either you say legal or you say constitutional. This, then next is institutional. This, and next is political. Hydropolitics. So basically, let's see the question, if you say it is process, they have mentioned, and it is structural. In question, they have used the term structural. This is how it says, whether problem is structural or process or both. Right. तो आंसर में लोग क्या लिखेंगे? लिखेंगे नहीं कि स्ट्रक्चरल क्या है और प्रोसीजरल क्या है, नहीं, दे विल से कि नो, बोथ प्रॉब्लम्स, और बोथ में वो जो जेनेरिक वाला होगा, isn't it? So that will be bypassed simply. This is how the answers are basically written. Right. And that way they will try to overcome their, they will not feel that ki there is lack of knowledge, I should know it. Rather ki this is how it can be written. Basically, let's see, when you have to understand legal, constitutional or structural is related to the subject matter. Basically, that water as a subject matter. This and the power division between union and states. That is how we say structural. So, this flaw has still remained, ambiguity has remained. Before independence, if you go as per Government of India Act 1919, 1935, so provinces did not have much control on water. The decision was taken by Secretary General, let's say that, or let's say that government, means union government, central government. States enjoyed very limited say on water related, let's say, problems or water related subject. After independence, it happened that control, regulation and development was brought in union list, and water in terms of its usage, irrigation, other purposes, it was brought in state list. So it is very, let's say that it seems that it is very clear that there is a structural division on the water as a subject matter. This. So a state has control on its own water resources under its jurisdiction. That is called surface water and that is called running water. This you can say. But matter is not that simple. Okay. Matter is not that simple. Simply because, let's say that we had over, let's say, 571 states as per this, let's say, you can have a bit here and there, that does not matter. So we had over 571 states, we integrated them, right? So when we have integrated them, so we have not created geographically also symmetrical states. This. Administratively, we have not created symmetrical, but again it is asymmetrical federal polity, which is one problem. Structural cause, asymmetrical. Second is that source of water, the origin of water is in one state, and let's say that it flows, the river flows in another state. Right. This. So when river flows in another state, and then it is downstream you say, upstream you say. Like say Kaveri river, so Karnataka it is upstream, Tamil Nadu it is downstream, and then Tamil Nadu uses more water than Karnataka because traditionally it has been doing. Now suppose Karnataka wants to use water, it wants to bring some development, so then Tamil Nadu is going to complain. Its own water, the flow of water, even if it is going through Karnataka, but its own water share will be affected if any activities done by Karnataka, let's say that whatever the activities, you can have water development, you can have some, let's say these power plants, other things you can find. Or suppose Karnataka needs more water, this. So it cannot control its own water because that water flows to Tamil Nadu and Tamil Nadu has been using that water. So problem happens, let's say, between water is not having, it is not a static thing. That water is something just confined to a particular geography of the state. And second aspect is that so far we do not have clarity related to groundwater. Okay. Groundwater. Who owns groundwater? This surface water, groundwater. The surface water is clear, but groundwater. So that, let's say, technical, there is a technical matter also, you can say this. The technical matter we can talk in next. This. So, what is flaw basically? The structural flaw is that even if union government has, its regulation, control, development rights, but since water is a state subject, so somehow states have objected union interference. Right? They have objective union interference in such kind of disputes. And there are ambiguities also, as we say that it goes through, let's say, this or that way, upstream, downstream, that kind of concept that we have related to geographical factors. So, union has not exercised its federal power, right? Rather, largely states have, let's say that, run the scene. If you see river water disputes, states have got much more say, they have run the scene rather than is union having a very strong presence, even if the constitution has given federal power in union list. Like what states has, means what union has done? The union has constituted river water dispute tribunal and it has its own mixed result first. But union has not constituted river water boards. This is so. River Water Board Act 1956 remains defunct law. Means we have not used negotiation, dialogue, talk as a platform to solve the problems. That is a major failure, you'll find this. So then how to address it? Let's say legal or constitutional problem. There are recommendations that you need to make it very clear. There should be more clarity related to subject division between union and states. The role of the union, the role of the state. In fact, there is also a recommendation that water itself should be brought in concurrent list. Because once water is brought in concurrent list, hence then let's say that the structural limitation which center is facing, that will not remain. It was, let's say, already in proposal in 2016 when a water, let's say that bill was introduced related to water. But thereafter the matter has been just pending. So debates are there, recommendations are there, but it is pending. You should find that. Now, if you take as far as institutional problem is concerned, the institutional problem is related to called Supreme Court versus Tribunal. Although the institutional problem will also be related to first constitution of a river board. That's why we were talking when we say in interstate council. Since such river boards have not been constituted and we have not used such negotiations and talk, so it is said that why not interstate council can play that role. If such river boards are playing that role, so we do not need the interstate council to take water as a subject or river water as a subject. But since we have not constituted, so that's why now it is said that since it has become a national matter, a matter at national level, so that's why it is said that we should give it to interstate council. Now what is the problem between them? Problem is that suppose tribunal is constituted and then parliament has barred Supreme Court, but then Supreme Court interferes through special leave petition. Special petition. Now the basics are that tribunal is constituted by the president. Then tribunal is assigned its term of reference. Tribunal will have judicial members. Tribunal has some expert members because it is related to hydrology, let's say that. So it demands, let's say, expertise in that field. So it has technical members also, it has judicial members also. Tribunal is a quasi-judicial body. Tribunal will carry out investigation and it will submit its report. Right. Its award is considered final. Right. Its award is considered final. And that will come into effect when President gives notification. It will come into effect when President notifies it. So the time, the date you notify, it comes into effect. That is how the role. So hence there is no role of judiciary. Like say Godavari, Krishna, you'll see that. They have solved that matter. But in case of Kaveri, let's say that special leave petition was filed and Supreme Court intervened. So when Supreme Court has intervened, so there is a legal ambiguity that then which institution has the final authority? Whether tribunal has a final authority or Supreme Court has a final authority. And if at all Supreme Court has to interfere, so why there should be constitution of tribunal? Let the Supreme Court directly deal and let the state directly goes to the Supreme Court. Because in US is directly involved. So state provinces, if they have any, let's say, problem, they directly go to the Supreme Court. The government does not constitute tribunal. In US case, if you find it is called Pi Master. The name of the officer which Supreme Court appoint is called Pi Master. This, and then in a way you can say it is a Supreme Court appointed tribunal. Right. Here government appoints tribunal, and then let's say that the tribunal gives final award, and then Supreme Court starts interference. The interference has further resulted into delay. Interference has resulted into, let's say, tribunals lacking authority in terms of solving any such river disputes, means river water disputes. That has happened, and then further matter has got delayed. This is how it is called, let's say, you can say institutional, you can say, ambiguity that we have, or process that we have. Process to solve. The process to solve is either you go for constitution of a board. Ideally, a board should be constituted, but board is not constituted. When tribunal is constituted, so then tribunal, as such, for tribunal we do not have a problem as far as a tribunal is concerned. But when tribunal submits its report, then there is SLP, and then Supreme Court interferes, and that results into delay. So this is how you will find that the process related challenge. And then let's say politics has been played like anything. I don't have to explain much on that. Hydropolitics, this is how it is said. River water disputes have been, let's say, politicized like anything, Punjab and Haryana and Rajasthan, you can say. Similarly, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, you can say. And basically, it has happened that the matter becomes worse if there are, let's say, triology, let's say that. The center is a different party and both states are two different parties. If all the three are from same party, so there is no dispute at all. Even if it is dispute, they will not talk it. Because it is the same party. So they will not talk much on that. But if it is a different party, you'll find. Generally it happens in case of Haryana, Punjab and government. Although let's say Haryana and government and central government of the same party, Punjab is of a different party. So politics has resulted into, basically politics has brought sub-national level of identity. Politics has brought regional level of identity. It becomes matter of also an identity, let's say that. It is called identity crisis because state starts linking the river with its own state image or state right or state identity. And that way, let's say that the matter becomes worse. The politicization has played another role in which center has tried to act as per its own political interest. Means center has not played any such effective role through its statesmanship, constitution of river board or interstate council to address river water disputes. This plus technical matter if you bring, today water is not taken as just let's say that surface water or groundwater. Today we talk about water governance. You should know that. You may have heard nowadays it is written water governance. We use the term water governance. See, water has, let's say that you have to preserve water. This water has multiple uses. It has many other aspects. Let's say water, you need to have development of water. You need to have preservation of water. You need to, let's say, use water in economical manner. And let's say there are various water bodies you have. You can have Central Water Commission, Water Development Board. So there are different types of water bodies that we have. They work for the protection of that water. So today water is not taken as something is called river water and surface water, drinking water and river water. Rather, water per se is considered as a social good. And we need to, let's say that have integrated water governance. Right. Integrated water governance, on which you had one panel, come something Sen panel, क्या नाम है? Mihir Sen panel. No, not aware. It is not part of this, but last time when there was debate, it was on Mihir Sen panel, I guess. That's it. Then it can be something else. Government last time when it constituted a panel, I guess it was Mihir Sen panel, right? And that commission recommendation resulted into, you know, that a new bill has been introduced, River Water Dispute Bill 2019, which has not yet been passed. That bill will replace this River Water Dispute Act 1956. So, what we are yes, ponds and lakes will also be part of surface water.
So can state build dams or rivers?
Yes, they can build dams.
But it can hamper
That is how the dispute. That is the main dispute basically. Dams building and plants later, let's say that power plants, this or any irrigation development project. When you dams are needed, embankment is needed for irrigation because you want to, let's say, conserve water. So dams can be, so when you go for building dams, the flow of the water is affected, or you can control the flow of the water. This, when you can control, so the downstream states starts complaining. They feel that their water will be, means share of water will be affected. This. So in that way, developments will not happen. But what we are saying technically is, it is much bigger than these things. You have several water bodies. How the water bodies you can protect this? The water bodies you have, water conservation you have, linking of rivers, let's say that. If not all linking of rivers, some rivers, how we will solve the water scarcity problem? You know that our water scarcity level has increased. If you read in your paper 3, water scarcity, per capita water is very poor in our country. This, if you compare to other countries, per capita water plus water usage, water table, water scarcity. So basically, these disputes should have been solved so that you move towards, let's say, integrated water governance in terms of development of water resources, water bodies, its protection, and let's say proper rationing out of the water in entire country. This. So these things demand more and more technical level of efforts. That is how we can consider it, and this is how we'll find that. Because of such structural, you can say, legal, you can consider, institutional mechanism, you can say, political, you can say, that we have not been able to effectively address water disputes, in which most important, let's say that problem or most important weakness is lack of leadership role played by center. This. Because water, its sectors do not have political appeal much. It is not that national level political issue, let's say that. Center has been very proactive in other such unitary powers. It can be president's rule, it can be defection, it is very active. But if you talk about such kind of technical matters, so there is a lack of leadership. And without leadership, you cannot solve it. Right? Because two states will always fight among themselves. That is called sub-nationalism also. Sub-nationalism demands sub-federalism. This. So unless you bring, even if you do not address, because constitution, here is a divided opinion. Ki center has been given power in the union list, but it has not invoked that power. As far as the structural level is concerned, in terms of, let's say that ki subject division, there may not be much problem. Yes, there can be one aspect that ki water can be brought in the concurrent list. If water is creating the technical ambiguities related to, let's say, surface water, groundwater, there are some other technical matters related to that. So to address any sort of that ambiguity and problems, at best you can do is that you can bring water in concurrent list. That will address the problem. But as far as institutional mechanism is concerned, so there are recommendations. Punchi Commission has also recommended that you set up a permanent tribunal. Since such disputes, number of disputes have increased, so there should be a permanent tribunal, and that tribunal should try to address the problems. That is how Government of India has also introduced the creation of a permanent tribunal. This River Water Tribunal Bill 2019. It talks about a permanent tribunal. Now, as far as political is concerned, so uske liye koi recommendation nahi hai. Right. You cannot have a recommendation to solve politics. Right? This. Rather, it is the national concern, states concern that they need to address. Many a time when they speak that patriotism, you can say nationalism, that you say. So I guess that should also be. So a paper, a research paper is there, ORF paper, good paper, we'll post you that paper. It is the only, let's say that a paper I find which is updated and good research is done on river water disputes. It has given, let's say that two level of solution. Either you go for extreme politicization. Extreme politicization will build a national level, let's say that, create a national level debate, and it will bring consensus. Like it cites the example of India against this India against corruption movement. It was extreme level of politicization of corruption matter, and that is how national level, let's say that, discourse happened, debate happened, and that resulted into somehow building a negative opinion against the ruling government. Or it is saying go for extreme level of depoliticization. Either you go extreme level of depoliticization, that is also not possible. Or you go extreme level of politicization, that is also not possible. Right? Because water as issue cannot appeal to the people. It does not have appeal unless across the country people start facing scarcity of water. But that is not going to happen near future. So that is what we can say. Hence the way forward is, some other countries have basically, let's say, how they solve their water. So देखो उनका क्या है कि again that overall system is different, right? So basically it is a negotiation. They have negotiation, they go negotiate, there is a sort of give and take system, and they solve themselves. That is called co-optation. एक term होता है co-optation. Right. Co-optation is a sort of, let's say that you give something to that party, the party they had in return gives something. This means it is a kind of, it results into both sides gaining from that rather than losing. This. Right. Yes, win and win you can consider. Right. So co-optation type of thing. So co-optation is also used in negotiations. Or you go for, let's say that this is how the new tribunal bill is envisaging about a committee which will go for holding dialogue and discussion. A resolution committee, they have named something called resolution committee, which is again, let's say that difficult. In fact, we cannot solve such problems simple unless we improve over all our political standards. This you can say. Otherwise, just we will keep talking it as we have been teaching since 2014-15 when water, let's say that the policy was introduced, government introduced, meets and committee was set up, right, and blah blah things. So let's summarize all this. Right.
The parliament is not made law that can bar judiciary.
It has made law, Tribunal Act. Right. There cannot be absolute barring of judiciary. Supreme Court could have refused to accept a special leave petition. When one state approached, basically Tamil Nadu approached to Supreme Court. It should have respected the tribunal award. This Supreme Court cannot be completely barred because it is the guardian of the Constitution. This is
When matters of national interest, Supreme Court.
yes,
When
yes.
matters of national interest, Supreme Court directly.
Yes, special leave petition are those cases where it is urgent hearing required. This you can say. Although river water may not still constitute called national importance, right? Because though two states are fighting in it. If it is at national level, then it can be. But SLP is that the urgent hearing because the award is going to come into effect. When it is going to come into effect and state has grievance, it has not been addressed, it wants urgent hearing. Urgent hearing means it will give a stay on that award and it will hear it. So it should have not accepted this. But again, there is a divided opinion. It means, let's say that the problem lies means where the award has been given by tribunal, that it should have tried to satisfy the needs of that state. But can a tribunal or can any such resolution body satisfy 100% to any state? This. And why Tamil Nadu should be concerned about its water, why nation should not be concerned about that state water? How come a state is only concerned about that state water? Means Punjab should be concerned about Punjab state water. Haryana should be concerned about Haryana. It should be the national concern. It should be the government of India concerned whether a state is getting adequate water or not, or whether it will get adequate water in future or not. How come a state has got this concern? When the source of water is not in that state. The source of water lies outside the state. And if you take past history, the past history is means it is not very clear. Right. Clear in the sense that states enjoyed also rights, states have not enjoyed also rights. Right. Because there was no concept of nation. You don't have a country, let's say that. The country was divided into different geographical aspects. When it was divided into different geographical units, so then you cannot, let's say that have clear, let's say that demarcation. It depends how a particular geographical unit dealt with another particular geographical unit. It depended on that type of, let's say that system of administration. But after independence, when we have created a country and then states are there, so should they think the way they are thinking that this state has right on its own water, although water is not originating in that state.
There is a matter of international water dispute which has more state or
Right. It is union. First. Second is United Nations has in what it has one such definition of water basically, in which it talks about collective aspect. Means it treats water in collective sense. Right, including let's say that surface water, groundwater, water development, water bodies. So internationally you will find that how water as a term is treated. The water as a term is not treated only related to surface water. This, but what states are treating water as more as surface water. This. So, international treaty, if you see, so it is more in favor of water taking more holistically rather than water taking just a particular aspect of surface water or groundwater. Yes.
So bringing the subject matter of water into the concrete list, will it solve the problem, or it should be directly brought into union list? So
Merely bringing again, देखो हर चीज का दूसरा एक कौन साइड होता है. एजुकेशन को कॉन्क्रीट लिस्ट में लाया गया, कौन सा एजुकेशन बहुत अच्छा हो गया. Right. What has happened to education? Right. This, whether any special thing has happened. Right. So, वो तो जो लाया है उसको पता भी नहीं होगा कि वाटर कॉन्क्रीट में है कि नहीं. Sarcastically, right. Just we are saying वो तो अभी आया, बट कॉन्क्रीट लिस्ट के आने जो इंदिरा गांधी के टाइम पर आता है, तो व्हाट स्पेशल थिंग हैज बीन डन. बाय दैट टाइम ऑलरेडी यू हैड लेट डाउन फाउंडेशन फॉर आईआईटी, सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी, सब वो नेहरू एरा के टाइम के है. राइट. दिस largely they belong to Nehru era. So what is special thing you have done? And even your water education is in state list. So nobody is stopping to establish a central university. Rather state तो चाहेगा आइए हमारे यहाँ establish कीजिए. ठीक है. A state would like to have a central university in its state. नहीं, वो बाहर नहीं करेगा. State has objection for deployment of a military force. State does not have objection with, right. You have to understand the different nature of subjects. Right. So it was not needed at all. This, when you bring water in concurrent list, it may not automatically solve the problem. Because center has no any such precedent. Tell me any precedent where center had effort and states blocked it. Right. In police reform, you can say that police is a state subject. States have blocked it. NCTC was National Counter-Terrorism Center. It was given police power and states blocked it. But आप river water dispute में कोई ऐसा steps बताओ जो center ने लाया है. Center तो police reform भी लाया है जो जी की police state subject है. Local body is state subject, but you have 73rd, 74th Amendment Act. Right. So this we have to understand. Center has done extreme depoliticization. GST example has been given. GST is the example where there is greater cooperative federalism. So why not water federalism? Water cooperative federalism. This is what you can tell on this. Let's try this. Yes. It says, the River Water Tribunal Act says that the award of the tribunal shall be final. That is how उसका law का term है. और ये final कहाँ से आता है इसका legal recognition? Article 262. It says that the Parliament can bar adjudication of water by judiciary. 262 article it says. So when it says that Parliament can bar water adjudication by judiciary, so when tribunal has been created, so it is an act of barring judiciary. And that tribunal award is final. This tribunal cannot be compared with other tribunals. Let's say that is Central Administrative Tribunal, Green Tribunal, other such tribunals, because they are not deriving power from 262. They are deriving power from a different, let's say that is section, different article in our constitution. Especially it is 323. Right. 323 A and B. We have 4 tribunals, 42nd Amendment Act. So their source of power is different. And in general, tribunals appeal go to Supreme Court. In general, it goes. This is how we will also teach when we will take quasi-judicial body. But Supreme Court is not accepting the appeal of River Water Tribunal's award on the ground of that it is a quasi-judicial body and hence appeal lies. Rather, through special leave petition. This technicality we have to understand. always means its scope can be extended to no. 262 is related to river water, let's say that. It is for river water dispute. First, now river water dispute is interstate phenomenon, right? Tribunals are not set up for interstate phenomenon. Tribunals are set up for union, let's say subject adjudication at union level, state subject adjudication at state level. The tribunal is not a federal body. Means other such tribunals, because state has its own tribunal, center has its own tribunal. But river water tribunal is a federal body. Right. That's why they cannot be created under Article 262. Right. So let's write all this. In brief, we will try it. The causes of lack of resolution of river water disputes. First, legal and constitutional. That although union list has given clear powers to center in terms of control, regulation and development of water, but center has not proactively intervened. By invoking such powers. Not proactively intervened by invoking such powers. States have control on water in terms of drinking irrigation and other purposes. Their control is more related to surface water. Within the territory of the state. But there is legal ambiguities related to first water in terms of groundwater and which institution should have control on groundwater. Next, relationship between groundwater and surface water. Surface water. Next, rights of states in terms of downstream state, upstream state, upstream state. Therefore, even if there is a demarcation of line between union and states, but still there is legal ambiguity. Next, institutional problems. Although Article 262 has empowered Parliament to establish mechanism for dispute resolution and bar judiciary from adjudication of interstate river water dispute. But it has been found that even if tribunals have submitted their final award, through special leave petition, Supreme Court has intervened. Which has resulted into delay and also debate that first, if Supreme Court has to intervene, states can go at first place to Supreme Court. Instead of creating any such tribunal, instead of constituting a tribunal. Next, its intervention defeats the rationale of Article 262. Its intervention defeats the rationale of Article 262. Next, it introduces legal technicality. In bracket, the Supreme Court understands law, not governance. Supreme Court understands law, not governance. Basically it means that legally you cannot solve this. बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम्स आप लीगली नहीं सॉल्व कर सकते हैं. यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. बहुत सारे लोग बात करते हैं और ये मेरा राइट है, isn't it? So, जब आप राइट की बात करोगे तो और बाकी सारे चीजें भूल जाओ, isn't it? So many times, let's say that the thing you can solve through negotiation, talk, here and there, a bit compromise. This is how it should be the approach, rather than कि no ये right है, right? So it introduced, that is how the research paper says कि Supreme Court understands law, not governance, but it demands governance. Here means it demands political, as we have been telling. Political problems demand political solution. It's more political problem. लोगों को क्या करना है? लोगों ने कभी बोला नहीं है कि हम कवारी वाटर, आपने ही उस तरह का पब्लिक ओपिनियन बिल्ड किया है. लोगों को तो पता भी नहीं है कि हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट को कितना वाटर शेयर करती है. People do not know all these things. They don't have concern all these things, right? But you form the opinion, you build the opinion, right? That result into a political movement. Right? This let's political hydropolitics. Hydropolitics. Right. It was expected that river boats could have been constituted. River boats could have been constituted by the center. But the law has remained defunct. The law has remained defunct. It shows failure of central government in terms of resolution of disputes through dialogue and negotiations. Through dialogue and negotiations. Through dialogue and negotiations. At the same time, it has been found that the ruling party at center is different from ruling parties at the state level. The matter becomes more political. Rather than technical. And disputes are also politically motivated. So this is what we can consider. Way forward. No need to write. Technical yourself. Right? Enough. 3 problems are enough. Major problems. टेक्निकल यू विल लर्न मोर. अगर आप वाटर पढ़ोगे आप पेपर 3 में तो आपको और भी अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगा इसके बारे में. राइट. वाटर मैनेजमेंट, water bodies, that aspect, dams, others, floods, that. So then you will get better understanding of water per se, right? And you will know about Mihir Sen panel. Let's say I was talking. The Mihir Sen panel was set up on water, and we had to replace water commission. We have created National Water Commission. There used to be Central Water Commission. So that was done on Mihir Sen, if I remember still, let's say that. Okay, because I was not getting Mihir Sen here panel. But it was Mihir Sen, and on that recommendation, you have now National Water Commission, which used to be just Central Water Commission. Okay. Anyhow, let's way forward. First, Punchi Commission has recommended for constitution of a permanent tribunal. With multi-member body in terms of having both judicial and expert members. judicial and expert members. The government has also introduced, government has also introduced a bill to create a permanent tribunal. A bill to create a permanent tribunal, 2019. 2019. Next, the structural and institutional problems should be addressed. His demand clear definition of water as a term, and the role of union and states. Water as a term and role of union and states. In control and regulation of water. Okay. According to ORF, next point. According to ORF, there can be two different solutions. One, extreme politicization like India against corruption for bringing Lokpal, or extreme depoliticization like India against corruption for bringing Lokpal, or extreme depoliticization for bringing law like GST. Next, greater emphasis on dialogue, negotiation, consultation by constitution of river boards, on the pattern of coordination committee on VAT and GST. Next, Interstate Council can also have in its agenda river water disputes to promote national level dialogue, coordination, and build consensus for resolution of river water disputes. water disputes. Next, there should be change paragraph. There should be integrated water governance approach. There should be integrated water governance approach. That water needs to be treated holistically. Water needs to be treated holistically. Holistically. For its conservation. For its conservation. Conservation. Usage and development. Usage and development. Simply because water should be treated as a national asset. National asset. It is also considered as a social good. It is also considered as a social good, which is very essential part of human life. Which is very essential part of human life. Human life. Hence, it should not be left to states. It should not be left to states, or states should not have greater say vis-a-vis union. Vis-a-vis union in terms of water management. Water management. Although there can be water cooperative federalism. Water cooperative federalism. That is what you can say. When we say that control someone, what is meant by control regulation? States are free to, let's say, have water usage in case of drinking water. But for irrigation water, for dam, for water power plants, means hydroelectricity, they are not free to do that. That is how union has control. Right. So this is called control, and control will bring regulation. Yes. So that way we have to understand. Right. First thing is that any institution which is permanent, so you don't have to constitute it. Generally, it happens when river water disputes happen and then they reach to a level, then you constitute a tribunal. There is delay in constitution of tribunal. That initial delay will not happen. This second thing is that when there is a tribunal, so it will have its institutional memory. Institutional memory is called that already it has past experiences. It has been working on other such river water disputes. So it helps in giving effective solution. Third aspect is that it will do some water related, let's say river water research, analysis, that kind of report publications that way. So in that way, let's say that it will become more effective. And since you can see the number of water disputes have increased and we have not been able to solve it. In that context, we can say there should be a permanent tribunal. Yes, but the nature of dispute would remain the same. Subject matter remains the same. It can be, let's say that Ravi and Vyas here It can be Kaveri there, but it's all again river water. So technically they have the expertise in that area. This only geography has changed, not technicalities. Yes. So that way we can consider. So it is a PRS paper, you can read it. This is how government has introduced a bill on this. It is on PRS available, although we'll post also, you can see from that. So you can see that it wants to have river water tribunal, which will replace this 1956. Then it has given, let's say that adjudication time, I guess, within a year receiving of such complaint. So time level also has been fixed in this. And dispute resolution committee. So there will be first dispute resolution committee resolve dispute amicably. The same thing the way it used to happen in past. It will try to first have amicable solution by this. Dispute resolution will comprise of chairperson experts with at least 15 years of experience in relevant sector. This, and then it will have also that some members from that state. Then it will try to solve within 1 year. Time also they have framed with extendable by 6 months. If it is not settled, then the tribunal, let's say that the government will refer the matter to Interstate River Tribunal. This within 3 months. Within 3 months it will be. Now it is about tribunal, let's say, set up adjudication. This tribunal can have multiple benches. That is how it will be, let's say, permanent tribunal, so multiple benches. Like so the way we have Central Administrative Tribunal, it has 17 benches all across the country. So they can have different benches. That way it will be, he was asking. Because of those regional benches, they can have a specialization. Yes. And then it has given composition. It will have also selection committee, and I will tell you that in this selection committee, leader of opposition is not there. This is it was a flaw because that time also we have taught in 2019. So it is a very because this government has got opportunity to first time create any statutory body. So in that selection committee, they do not have this. Anyhow, on the recommendation of central government, so point was on the recommendation of, it is not, see, it is ambiguous. Right. Central government, it is also ambiguous. Central government, कोई clear term नहीं होता है. Right. Rather, it should mention that they should be appointed by president. Right. Members are appointed by president, but it is written central government. And then there is a selection committee. Anyhow, these are some criticisms and time frame. This is given. Right. Decisions of the tribunal. It will be published. Decision has the same force as that of Supreme Court. तो वो तो अभी भी है, ट्रिब्यूनल का भी है. Technically, you should know this for prelims. The award of the tribunal has the force of Supreme Court as of now, as per 1956 Act. The award of River Water Dispute Tribunal has the force of Supreme Court. As of now also it is. Award is final, that is also clear. It is submitted to President. President notifies, then it comes to effect. These are some basic technicality. Now publication will not be done. The bill removes requirement of such publication. इसलिए क्या president के पास जाएगा नहीं? It adds that decision of the bench of the tribunal will be final, binding on the parties involved in the dispute. Central may, let's say, scheme give effect to the decision of tribunal, will make it mandatory for central government to make such a scheme. So now power has shifted from president to government. Yes. Then they are having provision for data bank. This is our plan. Right. So, negative side of this tribunal is the conditions of independence it does not meet. This is to know that. Conditions of independence it does not meet. So there are flaws because control goes to the hand of center rather than president. This. But since it has not been created, isn't it? This you can consider. So let's write few lines on this. No, you are not still aware about all these languages. These are vague languages. It's, what it may be? Yes. Right. Yes, central government, when we say it can be cabinet, it can be prime minister. This is how it right. The central government, when you refer, so basically it is cabinet, no doubt. But it is not president. As of now, it is the president. This report is submitted to president. This. And then it is published by president. This we can say. But now that power is somehow going to central government. This we can consider. Central government does not include president. You should be very clear on this. Right? Because wherever president is the party, it is mentioned. Wherever he is not the party, then we use the term government of India or central government. Right. Yes, it makes difference. Because president, let's say that, he can ask, you know that. President can ask for reconsideration. President is a formal authority. When it is a formal authority, so when he appoints, it brings transparency. When government appoints, it brings opaqueness. This you should know. This is the difference. Like say that ki RBI governor, or let's say SEBI governor, the SEBI chairperson, they are appointed by government. Let's say NHRC, they are appointed by president. So you will never hear, although news में आता है कि ये नया chairperson हो गया, but वो process क्या था appoint करने का? So it makes difference. Although it does not guarantee independence, but it makes difference. This because yes, because president can ask questions. He can ask questions. When you tender advice, he has right to at least send a reconsideration. Basically, he appoints, let's say that, but it becomes formal. That is the difference. Let's few things we can talk on this, then we'll take next, right? River water tribunal bill. No. This Interstate River Water Dispute Bill 2019. The bill has provisions for first replacing 1956 Act. Second, constituting a permanent tribunal. Next, a dispute resolution committee. Similar to river board, similar to river board. River board. The positives of the bill. The positives of the bill. First, a permanent river water tribunal. A permanent river water tribunal. Next, fixing timeline for resolution of dispute. Resolution of dispute. Selection committee. Selection committee for appointment of members. Selection committee for appointment of members. Next. Publication of the award of tribunal will not be needed. Publication of award of tribunal will not be needed. Same paragraph. Weaknesses. First, in selection committee, there is absence of leader of opposition. In selection committee, there is absence of leader of opposition. Leader of opposition. Next, it shifts powers from president to government. It shifts power from president to government. That now it is the government which has to give effect to decisions of tribunal. Give effect to decisions of tribunal. Next. Its provision for disputes resolution committee. Its provision for disputes resolution committee is similar to river board. Similar to river board, which was not constituted. Not constituted. Same paragraph. Hence, it is expected that there should be greater transparency. There should be greater transparency in functioning of a tribunal. Functioning of a tribunal. And it should be an independent institution. It should be an independent institution. As it is performing. Independent institution as it is performing a quasi-judicial role. A quasi-judicial role. So that is what we can talk. Right. So we finish this.